I want to call this special session to review ARC funding request to order. Do you want to present, Michelle, or?
Sure. I just received it. Yep. Can they see my screen? Not yet. Commissioner Jackson and I met last week with the West Virginia State Auditor's Office, as well as some representatives from OpenGov. And they actually have a wonderful website available to us that allows potential applicants, as well as applicants that have already submitted requests, to submit a formal request through this application portal. Kanawha County already has it implemented. And I just kind of wanted to show you what Kanawha County's website looks like. So they have links over on the left to their commission, ARP commission, to the ARP commission, which has some instructional documentation. The link on the right below that is ARP Treasury Guidance. And we also already have the Treasury Guidance located on the county's website. Treasury Guidance they have available to them, and that is also available on their website. And they have a public comment option, and they have a list of all of their American Rescue Plan applications. So each one of these applications are entered through the portal through OpenGov. Once that application is entered, anyone in the public should be able to view their application, as well as anyone in the commission, to see the documents, the actual requests, the responses to the requests. So as individuals or organizations here in Jefferson County start to enter their applications into OpenGov, I wanted to make sure you were aware of other counties that already have implemented so that you can use their information as guidance. They're able to update, upload balance sheet information, financial information, because all of those things are required in order to approve grant funding. And so that we are in compliance with the federal government and all our requirements. Just wanted to show you what their website looks like and what ours will eventually look like once we start getting all of our applications entered. Right now, the portal is live. There is a link to Jefferson County, to this site on Jefferson County Commission.org. It's under the American Rescue Plan Act page. As I mentioned earlier, we already have links down here to federal guidance, fact sheets, and various different treasury information for review, requests that have been submitted so far. And then the link here in the middle of the page will take you to the county's application process. The application process, once you submit your application, fill out all of the required fields, attach any required documents. Most of the required documents include project timeline, project costs, any cost estimates you've received, financial statements for your organization for the last 2 or 3 years, I believe it's requesting. Once you have all of that information submitted, it'll then go through a review process with commission staff and our legal staff here at the commission. And then commission staff will not be making a decision whether it's approved or denied. Everything will be scheduled before the commission at some point for either approval or denial. The portal also has a workflow process so that as we receive your application, we can review it to make sure it's thorough and it's accurate. If there's any missing information, you'll be contacted by someone from the commission staff to let you know that you need to give us your financial statements, or maybe there's a page missing. So we would contact you to let you know if there's anything missing. Once we approve your application to go on to the next step, it would then be scheduled for review by the county commission so that they can determine whether it's approved or not. I did provide a list today of all of the requests that we received so far. I will send out emails to each and every person who's already submitted an application via email to let them know that the portal is open now, and then they can submit their documentations and all of their required information on the new portal that's been opened. The link is also written at the top of the page, but it's most easily accessible by just going out to the county's website. Once an applicant submits a request, they'll receive a confirmation email stating that their application has been submitted successfully. They will need to create a login to be able to do it, and then they'll get this email. And then after that, I have several sample letters. The first sample letter would be a sample of a rejection letter. So if the commission denies the request for their ARPA funding, they would receive this particular email with an email with this particular letter. And it just basically says that unfortunately your application was determined not to meet the eligibility requirements established by the United States Treasury for the use of coronavirus state and local recovery funds. And if you have any questions, direct you to commission staff for further information. However, when a meeting is scheduled, you would also get that meeting invite, so you will know specifically the date and time that the commission is intending to talk about your particular request. So everybody, so nobody's going to be in the dark. We're scheduling meetings approximately once a month. We're not going to be able to talk about all 30 or 40 requests that we received so far at one time, and I don't want to waste anyone's time. I want to make sure that we're making efficient use of time by letting you know when exactly your request is going to be considered, so that you can bring in additional documentation so that if they have questions, you're available to answer those questions. The second letter would be a sample of the approval letter. So if the commission does decide to approve your ARPA request, you would be sent this letter letting you know that your application was funded and the amount it was funded for. So if you submitted a request for $100,000 and we can only fund 10,000 of it, you're going to know that only $10,000 was approved. It also notifies you that you're required to submit. I think the next page tells you that. The terms and conditions. If your grant award has been approved, you'll receive the attached terms and conditions as well. Let you know that there are reporting requirements, reimbursement, drawdown requirements, and what you need to do in order to receive those funds that have been approved for you, and any reporting requirements that are required of us so that we maintain compliance with Treasury guidance. The next page just shows the screenshot. Once an organization starts to input their application, they are going to be required to input a digital signature to ensure that we're in compliance with state and Treasury guidelines requiring actual signatures for accuracy and of any applications that we receive. And then I also printed out what their application would look like once it's been formally entered. And this is what they actually will see on screen once that particular link is opened up. The requests that we received so far, we've received $23.4 million in requests. $817,000 has been adjusted. $2.2 million has been paid out for revenue loss to the county, as well as stipend payment for county employees. We have a remaining so far submitted request of $20.263 million. Funding that's available so far, the county has received $5,549,000. We've earned about $6,400 in interest. If we subtract our expenditures of $2.2 million, the balance that we currently have in ARPA funding is $3,271,000. We anticipate receiving an additional payment in December from the Treasury office of $5,549,000. So the balance or the anticipated ARPA amount that the county will have to award is approximately $8,829,000. Do I have any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have any, Caleb, you want to go first?
No, you're fine.
Because you usually ask mostly, and I want to know anyway. So this portal, so I'm just looking at the summary spreadsheet that you provided. So I'm going to use this as an example. You've got restoration of 5 positions eliminated due to revenue loss, and there's a lump sum amount. Will the portal break down those 5 positions as to what the dollar value is against, what the cost is against each position?
It depends on how it's entered. Like right now, I have it entered as one lump sum amount. I can do one of two things. I can enter upload a document that actually shows the breakdown of those 4 different positions and the cost for each, 5 positions, or I can have them each entered as separate requests. And changing it is not a problem. We're able to do this, especially for the county request. This is an internal request.
Yeah, so I mean, in some of these, so even, let's see, the JCCOA, it's asking for full-time and part-time employee stipends. I'd like to see a breakdown of that, what full-time employee, what's being asked for them, what's being asked for part-time. Just like a little more detail, I believe, in an effort of transparency and using this portal is, instead of just lump sums against a line item, is,
So you want each individual?
we don't need each individual, but do we have 10 full-time employees that are drawing what amount of stipend out of that 86,000 that's being requested, and how many part-time?
Right, and their request was more than just stipend, so I can, when I email each one of these organizations, I can let them know that each request needs to be entered individually.
Okay.
So that the breakdown is more easily identifiable and transparent to the public.
Yeah, it's just, I think, I mean, I have questions over it and just approving a lump sum amount without knowing exactly what each person or what each position's, what the cost is against each position.
Right. And then, I know I also have some questions about some of the larger infrastructure requests we received. For example, pedestrian sidewalks, curbing, stormwater runoff. Pedestrian sidewalks, I don't think would be something that's eligible, but potentially stormwater runoff would be.
Right.
So some of those things need to be broken down, and it may just be satisfied with them actually attaching a copy of the actual project estimate for some of these larger projects. And it should break down each one of those individual components.
And then I just kind of want to reiterate that this body, governing body, a couple months ago when we first started talking about art, voted to make the decision to prioritize requests based on county projects, or based on projects, but based on county level that serve the whole community instead of just a small segment. So that's why you're seeing the ranking. You're going to see the ranking when you see this spreadsheet. That was the request, and to be mindful that even to the outside agencies that are requesting funds, if you're requesting funds against something that needs to be sustained well beyond these projects, there's no guarantee, or it's on you to find out how to sustain those things if they're approved. So to be clear on that.
That's correct. And one of the questions actually asks you, the applicant specifically, how do you plan to sustain this? What implications does it have for the future of your budget? And how do you plan to sustain this expenditure in the future? For example, sometimes some of these expenditures are just one-time expenses, but some of them are ongoing. The positions would be an example of an ongoing expenditure. How do you plan to fund these in the future once the ARPA funding comes out?
And then are we opening back up for more applications to be submitted, or have we already decided in light of this portal being run out, or have we already decided we've cut that?
That would be up to you, the commission. I would recommend that we open it back up. I have received at least 2 or 3 more phone calls for requests.
Yeah.
So we talked about supplementing revenue losses for this year's revenue loss, like we did for 2020. Is that included in here?
Yes, I would be. So right below the 1.5 million, I have 2.2 million estimated for 21.
Okay. And any agencies who experience revenue loss would not have to submit through the portal. It would just be, they're included, like if we had like CBB, for example, they get its own hotel.
They're an internal agency, but if it's an external agency, we would not receive funding directly from one of our particular revenue losses, and those are really the only ones that received any revenue.
Okay.
So for example, I think a museum submitted to us a request for revenue loss. They would still need to submit their application separately.
But anyone who regularly receives funding directly from us does not need to submit that. They're already.
Only if it's part of our tax policy.
Right, okay, yes.
And just when you, as you enter things, you're going to enter the things that we've already approved, just so folks can see where that money's been spent.
Right, so what I'll do for the ones that have already been submitted to us, I'll probably create just like a blank. I'll put your name and contact information in, and in all of the required fields, I'm going to put please enter this information, please enter this information, so that you, the applicant, can fill out your application and you can put things into your words. You can attach your documents. I'll attach whatever document I currently have, but you may have project estimates, you may have project timelines, you may have quotes that you've received from vendors and things like that that you want to attach, and you'll be able to do that through this portal. And I'll get those out within the next week.
I don't know if anyone else has questions.
I think that's pretty much everything that I have for today, just to kind of recap what we've received so far and to showcase the portal that we've just recently implemented.
Commissioner Ath, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I guess I don't have any questions. Just like you had said, more details, the better. I know when I'm looking over kind of the line item requests we've gotten, I do notice a couple that seem to not be looking for the one-time injections of cash, rather like the health department wants the community outreach position. So I just don't know how that's something that would be sustained long-term.
Commissioner Solifer, do you have anything?
No, ma'am. I do not have anything. I know I'll have some questions later, but I think it was a really good presentation. Thank you.
Do you have anything?
Only thing is procedurally, do we need a motion to reopen it? Or
For, to accept
I think we
applications?
should,
Yeah.
yes, and maybe give a reopen through 11:30 or, a specific date.
Okay, so I'll make the motion that we reopen the ARPA fund grant request for applications to be submitted no later than October 31st, 2021.
second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimously. Does anyone here have any questions for Michelle or about the process or anything of that nature?
I'm Lee Snyder, I would just say, and I submitted a request order on behalf of CTUB because we're in the midst of an agreement we expect to conclude with CTUB to acquire the Sharon Junction sewer, but they need to put a pump station in to direct that sewer to the treatment in Charlestown. So reopening applications apparently would be helpful to that, and I'll work with CTUB to make sure something gets submitted through that portal.
And I just want to say, I wish we had the funds to meet all the requests that have come in. Unfortunately, we don't, and that's the nature of the beast, right? Is we have a lump sum and everybody has a need, particularly coming off of last year with a lot of the challenges in the community. So we do have hard decisions to make on what we will dispense the funds for and what unfortunately we're not going to be able to do. So.
I have a question.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Mayor Sal with Jefferson County Water Advisory Committee. We have been listed as a utility and we are county appointed. It's up to how you rate us. But we're a county appointed committee. So I understand you put me in the utility so we can discuss that later, but we are not going to have the $25,000 water test study. And I'm not certain if another entity put that in, but we did not put that in.
Okay.
So I think that was for an Evans Fund, Elks Fund. And then for our, just wanted to, and we'll put this in the portal, our 3-year study, we had 4 different versions of it. We're going to recommend the one that's at 400,000, not 450. And I can look in the portal, but I saw you had a note, we have a joint partner that's got an additional funds. And we'll make the case, we think it's going to serve the whole county, our status. But thank you for holding this in time on the floor.
Yeah.
On the Jefferson County Parks and Recreation, the sewer tie-in, of course, that's a one-time project. And Commissioner, I noticed that you said projects that actually would benefit the entire county. This would allow us to expand our programs. Because with the current capacity we have, we're somewhat limited. This tie-in, we could provide more programs for more adults and children in Jefferson County.
Anyone? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Maria Adamani. I'm the Executive Director of the Charlestown Horsemen's Benevolent Protection Association. I just wanted to say that that study that we're proposing, the economic impact study that we're proposing, we haven't had an economic impact study since 2012. All of the partners, if you will, that were in that group that did the economic study, we've all suffered losses in 2020, which makes it difficult for us to consider doing a new study. And that study will take us probably a year to get done. So from our perspective, it's important if funds are available. We'd appreciate funds being appropriated sooner rather than later because it will take that long. And the racing industry and the breeding industry have suffered significant financial losses in the last, I'll say probably the last 6 years. It's affecting the foal crop, which affects the number of horses that are available to race at the racetrack. As we lose people who are investing in this community and in the thoroughbred racing and breeding industry, we lose an important tax base, we lose an important tourism base. So our request, while it looks like it is very specific to the thoroughbred industry, it really is an all-encompassing sort of request because it affects agribusiness. The agriculture industry is affected by our purchases of hay and straw. We have a lot of direct and indirect effect on rentals and education and gasoline restaurants. So I guess this is my pitch to say that we understand that your funds are limited, and it's a difficult time and it's a difficult decision, but we would really appreciate some consideration for our request. Thank you.
And the only one hasn't spoken. So do you want to say something?
Well, thank you, Commissioner. Just to clarify, I do want to note that CTEP will provide some additional documentation regarding its request. I think be more specific about the amount. But to be clear, that's different than what Mr. Snyder had just referenced. I mean, his request is his request. CTEP has a separate request, so we just want to be clear on that.
Okay. Any other comments? Do we next session or do we? It's been mentioned we were going to.
I think we had mentioned we would do it on the second Wednesday each month, so November the 10th at 9:30 a.m. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah, that's fine with me. Commissioner Add, Commissioner Stolifer, November 10th?
Yes, ma'am, that'll be fine.
That works for me as well.
And then for all of the guests that we have in the room, we will send you an email if you are scheduled to present that day. So that we'll make efficient use of your time.
And you, just to clarify, the link to the portal is on the
It is on the
commission.
county site. I'm just going to go home. And public hearings and notices. American Rescue Plan Act information. And then in the middle there, it says click here to complete your American Rescue Plan Act online application.
I just want to encourage, the more detail you can provide, the better assessment we can do as to the need of your request. So I encourage as much detail as possible. All right. We have nothing else. We can adjourn. Thank you so much for your time.
November 10th at 9:30 in the morning.